This special feature of the Debbie and Carrie Show was inspired by the new movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. Easily the most insane film I've ever seen. At last, I have completed a time travel device that will enable me, Ted Wilson, to travel back to the year 2021 and kill that bitch Carrie Sims before she started to ruin not only my own life, but the town I grew up in. I hope the future I create will enable me and others like me to rule our society again. Activating device. Tony Wilson, Ted's teenage grandson, enters the room. I've got to stop my grandfather from carrying out his evil plan. Who knows what chaos he will unleash? Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, Mrs. Sims. And you too, Richard. I was worried you would refuse to talk to me, or even hate me because of my grandfather.
Your grandfather did offensive things to me and a few other people when he was your age, Tony, but that has nothing to do with you. I'm glad you were open-minded enough not to be infected with his bigotry.
Having been brought up in a progressive family, I will never understand how people like your grandfather can insist on being sexist, racist, and homophobic. I guess some people can't feel good about themselves without putting others down. I overheard my grandfather planning to use a time travel device to travel back in time to kill your mother Carrie in the past. How did he get his hands on a time machine? My grandfather, like his father and grandfather before him, has a lot of connections in big business. He paid a group of scientists to invent this time machine. Come and see it. So Richard and his wife Diana Hudson go to see the time machine.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine the incredible amount of damage that can be done with this sort of machine? We should destroy it to stop your grandfather.
If he kills Carrie Sims in the past, then it won't matter if we destroy it here and now. We must use it to travel back in time ourselves to stop him. He's right. So how do we stop him, exactly? My grandfather said he was going back to the year 2021. So maybe we should go back to a time before that year to warn Carrie that she will be targeted. Richard then goes to visit his grandmothers, Lucy and Jessica. They are living out their last years together in a nursing home.
Lucy, Carrie, and I moved from Boston to that town in Texas in October of 2020. Carrie first encountered Ted Wilson less than 2 years later.
Then I will go to that exact month and warn them of the danger.
Are you sure about that, Richard? I have no memory of meeting you in the past, so your intervention could also disrupt the past.
It's a risk we are willing to take. Doing nothing would be worse. Okay, I have set the coordinates for the time jump. Richard, are you ready?
Yes! Send me through now.
Mother Lucy, I have finished unpacking all my stuff. Do you and Mother Jessica need my help?
No, I think we are almost done ourselves. Why not go explore our new neighborhood? There is a cafe just down the street from our new home. Find out for us what it serves.
I will call my new friend Debbie and ask her to meet me there. This little town is so different from Boston. If it weren't for meeting you and you showing me around, I would be screaming to return to my old home. I've never been to Boston. Maybe someday we could go visit it together.
Ah, there they are. My name is Richard and I am from the year 2060. In my native time, you and Debbie have both lived long and happy lives. But an enemy of ours named Ted Wilson wants to kill you because he blames you for his life being a mess.
Ted Wilson? I know him. He is a year older than me and he is a bully. When he found out I was an atheist last year, he shoved me into a closet and he beat me up. What the hell? I don't care if the future version of Ted Wilson wants to kill me. I am eager to track down the present version of him and beat the shit out of him.
You will beat him up eventually, and after that he will be too scared to mess with you again. For now, you need to be protected.
Hey, does that future Ted Wilson look like that?
There you are, you bitch. And then Ted pulls out a gun and aims it directly at Carrie. No. Leave her alone. and Richard shoves Carrie aside and takes the bullet meant for her. Seeing this, Ted runs away.
Richard, you saved me. But now you will die. Was this supposed to happen?
No, but at least you will live. To someday be a mother to me. And so Richard dies.
Debbie, he was my son. Carrie, I promise you, we will do whatever it takes to track down and punish the man who killed Richard. He saved you, so now we must avenge him. Ha! You can't do anything against Ted Wilson. But I and my partner can.
Debbie looks at the other girl. It is like looking at a mirror.
Because of what Ted Wilson did to Richard, Carrie and I found a way later to gain superpowers so we could hunt him down and stop him. So you two are from the same time as that Ted Wilson we just encountered?
No, we are from the year 2030. But like Ted Wilson, we have time travel abilities. Now that he has failed to kill you this year, he will try to prevent you from being born by preventing your mothers from being together. My version of Debbie and I will go stop him.
Good luck.
The superhero versions of Debbie and Carrie from the year 2030 return to the spaceship they teleported from. They meet up with the 2060 version of Debbie.
It was so painful seeing Richard dead like that. I know I didn't give birth to him like you did, but I grieve for him anyway. You have a heart as massive as a planet. And sometimes that is a curse. Carrie, are you ready?
The coordinates have been set. Engaging.
Wow. It is the year 2005 in Boston, and Jessica Sims has just started a relationship with Lucy Gordon.
Lucy, you seem nervous. Is there anything I can do to make you feel better?
I don't know. This is all new to me. I am torn between wanting to see you naked and being too fearful to even let you touch me. I don't expect you to understand. You clearly were not raised in a cult like mine.
But I am willing to listen. I wasn't expecting us to have sex immediately. Intimacy takes time to develop in a loving relationship. May I hug you?
Sure, since you were polite enough to ask. Wow. That actually felt great. Could you give me more?
As much as you want.
I swear, you are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I love you. I just don't understand why you care for me so much. What makes me so special?
Isn't your being a lovely person not reason enough to care for you and offer you a better life with me? Lucy, when you look at yourself in a mirror, what do you see?
I see someone who was told by her own family that she was a broken sinner, unworthy of their love.
My mother has never told me anything like that. When I told my parents I was lesbian, they had no problem with it. You just need to let go of the past and be true to yourself.
Thank you for being patient with me.
There you are.
Who are you and how did you get in my apartment?
I don't have to answer you, perverted bitch. Die. And Ted Wilson draws his pistol and aims at Jessica.
No. I love her.
No. Why?
Shit. I shot the wrong bitch. You are the one who gave birth to Carrie, not your black lover.
What are you talking about? I have no children.
He means me. You bastard. If you want to target me, let it be a fair fight. Not my teen self, not my mother's.
My heart.
Oh, my God. I don't understand what is happening.
I'm sorry, Mother Jessica. He was trying to eliminate me because I, or rather a version of me in another reality, defeated him. But none of this would have happened had he not chosen to assault girls when he was a teen. He chose to be a sex offender. His targets were his victims, just as you were now.
Thank you for saving me, Carrie. Okay, so we saved Mother Jessica, but Mother Lucy is still dead, so history has still been changed.
Right, so have we failed anyway?
There is one more intervention we can try. We go to the year 2060, but a few weeks before my actual native time. And we stop Ted Wilson from completing his time machine. If he does no time trips, both Richard and Lucy will be saved.
And so once again, they make a time jump. Wah!
This appears to be the place. And there is no sign of him.
Good, then let's get to work. A good old-fashioned act of sabotage should put an end to Ted Wilson's madness.
There, I have finished the reprogramming. Instead of sending Ted Wilson into the past, this machine will now blow up and send him on a one-way trip to hell.
You believe in a place known as hell?
Not really. But people as horrible as him make me understand why some people are still religious. Because they want to see good people rewarded and evil ones punished in the future. But it is better to make sure that justice is done in this life, right?
Obviously.
At last, I have completed a time travel device that will enable me, Ted Wilson, to travel back to the year 2021 and kill that bitch Carrie Sims before she started to ruin not only my own life, but the town I grew up in. I hope the future I create will enable me and others like me to rule our society again. Activating device. Grandfather, what happened? Oh no, he is dead. He should have had that stupid machine tested before trying to use it.
Good evening, Carrie. What would you like this time?
A large pepperoni and shredded onion pizza for me, Debbie and Officer Kelly, please.
You should know that the offering of free meals for police officers and firefighters of the town ended last night, so you will have to pay for this pizza.
No problem. I was reading a story online about a 12-year-old girl who was raped by her uncle and had gotten pregnant, and her parents refused to let her have an abortion, so she was forced to bear the baby and then give it up for adoption. Then, less than a month after she had given birth, and the day before her 13th birthday, she killed herself with poison. Wow. So she was really traumatized. She left a suicide note that said her parents were, and I won't quote the exact words, damned hypocrites for claiming to be pro-life, but never respecting my life. By making me bear my uncle's baby, I was raped twice. Enjoy your lives without me. Her own mother made the note public and then filed for divorce from her husband over this. Even as a devout Baptist many years ago, I wasn't inclined to try to stop women from terminating their pregnancies. I once was discussing the abortion issue with Reverend Dave Owen and Dr. Drake.
It is absolutely vital to protect the unborn. There is nothing more vile than killing someone who has no means to defend himself and has such great potential to live a good life. God made that life for a reason and His will must be done.
Are you serious? What about victims of rape or incest who get pregnant? Knowing those acts are themselves horrible, how can a child being produced that way be justified?
Two wrongs don't make a right. Why should an act of rape or incest be followed by an act of murder? I think I would know more about that issue than you, Reverend Owen.
Later, I had a private talk with Dr. Drake. It's easy for him to talk about the sanctity of human life. He has never been pregnant. But as a cop, I've dealt with a rape victim, and the idea of her having her attacker's baby sickens me.
I think I know who you are talking about. And I agree. Exceptions must be made for women and girls who have been violated as a matter of compassion and justice. Pregnancy and childbirth are far more likely to kill a woman than a first-term abortion.
But if you make such exceptions, that blows away the whole right to life of the unborn argument. You might as well go all the way and be totally pro-choice. Yes, I figured that out later. It turns out that the real motivation for opposing abortion rights is that some bigots see pregnancy and getting STDs as punishments for having immoral sex. Ironically, it is because I've been through a pregnancy and given birth that I am indeed pro-choice. I chose to get pregnant, carry my son Richard to term and give birth to him. Had I been forced to carry to term an accidental pregnancy, I would not have been able to love the baby so much. And that is exactly why the anti-abortion movement must be discredited and defeated forever. When you defend the absolute right to life of the unborn, you destroy the dignity of at least half of those who are already born. And no woman should ever accept that. And Kelly, who the hell gets to define what is immoral sex? Religion? Then that becomes an issue of church and state separation. A state that includes people of both genders and various religions should have no say on the abortion issue, period. No argument from me.
One day, Jessica goes through her home's mail, looking for bills that need to be paid.
Huh? A letter with no return address, but addressed to me and Lucy?
Lesbian sluts. It's bad enough that you used a sperm donor to make a baby, thus creating a monster with no father, but you have also adopted another girl instead of letting her live with a Christian family. Now you are brainwashing her with atheist views and likely grooming her to be a pervert just like you, just as you did to your first daughter. We know where you live and where you work. From now on, you should be looking over your shoulders, for you never know when the army of the Lord will strike out at you to make you pay for your sins.
What? Who would send this to us? Mother Jessica, you should ignore that stupid message. I remember when Reverend Dave Owen sent us that letter after my suicide attempt with those Bible quotes trying to convert me to his religion. At least he was willing to reveal himself as the author of that nonsense, but the writer of this new letter is a coward. Excuse me. Carrie, where are you now? I'm with Mother Jessica at her and Lucy's house. Why? I'm here with Richard and his father's in Dallas. And we just got a letter addressed to all of us. You, me, Michael and Charlie. Take a picture of it with your cell phone and then send it to me.
Perverts, beware. Your day of judgment is coming. You have no business having a child together and brainwashing him to accept as natural the gay and lesbian lifestyle. You will be burned forever for your sick ways of living.
This is clearly someone who knows all of us, even knowing that some of us live in Dallas. But it can't be Dave Owen. He's dead. But who besides him would know us well enough to send us these threatening letters in both this town and Dallas? There is one possibility. Ted Wilson. He totally shares Dave Owen's bigoted views, and he knows me personally too. I have an idea. Let me take that letter you got to the police station tomorrow. I also want the one Debbie was sent.
After completing another modeling session in Dallas, Debbie returns with Richard to the town, bringing the hateful letter she got.
So why did you want to bring those letters here? I'm thinking that whoever wrote them may have left fingerprints on them that we can use to identify the sender. So let us scan them and then we will compare any fingerprints we find to the national database of fingerprints.
The scan of both letters is performed, and as a result,
this was no surprise. There are indeed fingerprints on both letters that match the ones of Ted Wilson in the database. He must have written them.
Good work, Carrie. But since he no longer lives in this town, he is beyond our reach. But sending hate mail is a federal offense. So this is a job for the FBI. Those damned bitches have ruined my life again. One day, I swear, I will make them pay. Scott Miller has found a new love interest in Los Angeles. Her name is Aisha Nazar, and she is an immigrant from Sudan who wants to be an actress. She is also a Muslim.
So when am I going to meet your parents?
Yeah, about that. You know, my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. They have always expected me to marry and have a family with a fellow witness, but I have rejected the teachings of the Watchtower after looking at all the issues regarding my religion published on the internet. I realize now how wrong that religion is, and that yours, Islam, is far more credible. So if you are willing to marry me someday, I am willing to be a Muslim, so we can raise a family in the noble world religion, not a cult.
Do you want to convert now? The process of becoming a Muslim is simple. You declare openly the Islamic creed, there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet. Then you commit yourself to the 5 pillars of Islam from then on.
I know. I've been studying Islam for weeks, and I am satisfied that I can follow this path. So, there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet.
Congratulations. You are now my brother in this faith.
Suzanne approaches the table where Scott and Aisha are sitting.
You said you wanted to talk to me about something to do with religion, Scott.
Yes. I know you were raised an atheist, and for a time I considered becoming one too, but in the end I decided I still need to believe in a God of some kind. I am now in a relationship with Aisha, and she is Muslim, and after studying her religion I have joined it. I know that may offend you, but that is what I see as best for me.
Scott, I am also Unitarian Universalist, and as such, it is not for me to judge you for the path you have chosen now. That is your business and I will respect it. I was only harsh with you in the past, because you were in a cult that made you a self-righteous jerk. You have gotten better. You must be Aisha. It is nice to meet you. I hope you two will always be good to each other. Goodbye. That went down well. And she is not even a relative of yours.
That's right. It's going to be 10 times harder telling my parents about you and about me being Muslim now. Never mind that we as Muslims are much closer to my parents in terms of beliefs than we are to an atheist like Suzanne.
If your parents truly love you, they will accept the choice you have made, and if they reject you, then Allah will still bless you for following the straight path.
James is finally finished with his first year of attending Harvard and is ready to return to the town.
Jonathan, if Penny and I do get married this summer, she would want me to bring her back with me to your house. Would that be acceptable to you?
A year ago, I would have said no, but Penny proved to be quite helpful to us when Tara was disabled after her injury. And now that she is completely healed up, Tara has decided she wants to go back to work to make us more money. If Penny lives with us and agrees to take care of Helen, we won't need to put Helen in a daycare when Tara is working.
I will talk to Penny about that. Debbie says she has been taking care of Richard and always did a great job of it. She will someday be an awesome mother.
James then flies back to Texas, arriving at DFW Airport.
Welcome back, James.
Uncle James? You are talking already, Richard? You are a smart boy.
Just like you. Come.
What a wonderful thing to see when getting off work. Now that I am with you again, I never want us to be apart again. I will be yours, forever.
I feel the same. Any doubts I might have had about you were erased forever when you came up to Boston with Jessica and helped out so much. And Jonathan and Tara say they want you to help them again if you live in Boston with them and me.
To babysit Helen? Oh, that adorable little girl.
Meanwhile, at the hospital.
Being a co-owner of this hospital is much harder than I thought. Having to dig through all these medical records and calculate pay scales for hospital employees, taking in money from patients and deal with health insurance companies and make sure the hospital is properly equipped and supplied, it's such a challenge.
Indeed, and my brother hated having to do it, which is why he eventually hired someone to do that work for him while he continued to take in profits from the hospital.
That's not right. I'll bet that other guy got paid almost nothing for that work.
Right? Plus he did a poor job. Which is why I was so glad you came on board as the new co-owner. The first thing I did after you bought my brother out, I fired his assistant.
Good riddance.
But how do you balance owning this place and working as a science teacher at the school? Don't you ever have any free time?
I've always been something of a workaholic. Others do recreational activities when not at their job. I just do more work to pass my time. And both my jobs pay well. But the fact is, I am not getting any younger, and eventually, I will have to pass on my share of the hospital to another.
What about Dr. Drake?
Nope, he already told me that the last thing he wants to do. He loves treating patients. Being a hospital administrator is totally different. We will have to find someone else.
Charlie, as much as I enjoyed making love with Penny, it still was awkward because 1. She is a cis woman, and 2. She really belonged with someone else. But now I am with you, a trans man, and you have no one else, so this is perfect. I am so happy you are willing to be my new love partner.
Thank you for being so open-hearted. Even in Fort Worth, it was hard finding someone I could relate to. With you, I am happy at last.
Good evening and welcome to the Roosh Scumpa Show. Tonight I am interviewing a young conservative activist named Ted Wilson, who was recently arrested by the FBI and jailed for exercising his freedom of speech and freedom of religion as promised in the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Ted, please tell us what happened and how you got out of jail. As you already know, the town I grew up in has been taken over by a group of atheists and lesbians, the ringleader of this faction being Sandy Smith, who got herself elected mayor by promising to end what she claimed was corruption and neglect in the town. Soon the town was nothing like what my father and I had known when we were younger, so we moved away. I was angry at the mayor and also that the Reverend Dave Owen, who had once been a pillar of the community, had been sent to prison after he was accused of burning down the church he was once pastor of. Soon after he was released from prison, he died by suicide, so we have heard. Then the police chief and the mayor, who were father and son, were removed from office after they were blamed for an arson attempt at a restaurant owned by one of the atheist lesbians. Mrs. Smith took advantage of the resulting power vacuum to take over, installing one of her allies as the new police chief, and even making her own daughter's wife a cop as well, despite this girl assaulting a cop herself in the past. So that's the background of the situation. And what happened to you most recently? Because of my intense anger at what had been done, I sent 2 protest letters to those atheist lesbians. But I left my name off them because I wasn't acting for personal reasons. I just wanted to call them out on their immoral behavior. But they somehow figured out I had written them and got me arrested. This is the terrible thing about the left. When they take over, those like me who are believers in Christian and conservative values are condemned for expressing those ideas in public, and we are persecuted. Fortunately, my father got me a lawyer, and then we got a judge to agree that the federal authorities had overreached, and we got the charges against me dropped, so I won't be tried for anything. You are to be commended for standing up for the right values. We hear so many stories about young people abandoning the churches and embracing leftist thinking, but you are clearly the future of American conservatism. Thank you for your support.
Let's hope Carrie never sees this. If she does, she will be pissed. Ted Wilson was himself the cop that Carrie assaulted, because he was trying to pick a fight with James.
And he can believe whatever religion he wants and even consider us immoral, but sending us hateful messages through the mail shouldn't be acceptable. No one should be persecuted for being Christian, but Christians shouldn't be allowed to terrorize us for being atheists or lesbians, damn it. And that Ted Wilson got off is a clear sign of the federal courts being stacked with conservative judges, all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, making them corrupt and not interested in true standards of justice.
Excuse me. Mother Jessica, you won't believe what Debbie, James, Mrs. Smith and I just saw on TV. Oh no. You want us to make a movie based on your mother's campaign for mayor of the town? That's right. After seeing what Ted Wilson said about us on the Roosh Scumbaugh show, I think we need to counter the propaganda Roosh spits out with the truth. Millions of people watch him, and because of him, my mother gets hateful messages every day. I'm sick of it. I don't think any major Hollywood studio would fund a movie like that. It would have a limited audience and so would not be very profitable. Not even a low-budget film with a limited distribution. Hollywood just doesn't bother with those anymore. I'm sorry. So, what are we going to do?
Remember when Dale's husband used an app called Plotagon to make videos featuring us in our struggles against Reverend Dave Owen, leading to his downfall later? Maybe we should try using Plotagon ourselves. We don't need some big Hollywood studio. We can tell our story as we remember it, with nothing left out or altered.
And so Sandy downloads the Plotagon app to her desktop computer.
There, it is downloaded. Now we just have to work together to make the story we want to tell.
Sandy then gathers the Sims couple, Debbie, Carrie, Vicky, James and Penny at her house to get their testimonies about what happened nearly 2 years ago. And as a result,
I like this. Now we can upload this movie to YouTube and hope it goes viral.
And so Sandy posts links to it in various outlets of social media. The day set aside for the wedding of James and Penny has arrived, and so they go to the local Unitarian Universalist church for the ceremony.
Uncle Wayne, what do you think?
This may not look much like a Catholic church, but I can still respect it as a holy place. So, am I going to walk you down the aisle to James?
Actually, no. My father is coming.
Edward, all these years you have been out of Penny's life, and now you just show up here and expect to be embraced with open arms. I don't think so. You practically abandoned her, and so our mother and I had to be the ones to raise her.
Penny invited me, and I never disowned her. Now that she is a grown woman and has found the man who will be her husband, I wish to meet him and see for myself what he is. That's what any good father would do.
Please, you are both my sons. You are brothers. For the sake of my granddaughter, can't you two get along for one day?
Yes, Mother. I apologize.
Has it always been like this between them?
For as long as I have known both of them, yes. But at least after today we may not have to deal with them for a long while.
So you are my future son-in-law. Congratulations. But why are you getting married here and not in a Catholic church? Obviously because I am not Catholic. This is a Protestant church, and Penny converted to my religion to marry me. Well, as long as you believe in God.
Hello. I am James's mother. And you are Penny's father, right?
Yes, it is good to meet you.
James now waits in the sanctuary with Reverend Emily Denton.
Presiding over a wedding has always been my favorite part of being a minister. So, are you nervous?
Of course I am. This is perhaps the most important day of my life, so I want everything to go smoothly.
Welcome, everyone, to this town's Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Emily Denton, and I will be presiding over this wedding ceremony as this young man, James Smith, is joined with the bride Penny Bentley.
Penny now enters the sanctuary, escorted by her father.
Wow! That's exactly what she wore for our first date. Even back then, she was so awesome and special.
Penny now joins James in front of Reverend Denton.
Like what you see?
Yes, always.
Let us proceed. James Smith, do you take this woman, Penny Bentley, to be your wife, to love and honor in all ways, forsaking all others, all the days of your life, until death parts you?
I do.
And do you, Penny Bentley, take this man, James Smith, to be your husband, to love and honor in all ways, forsaking all others, all the days of your life, until death parts you?
I do.
Debbie Smith, please give the couple their wedding rings.
Here they are.
And by the power vested in me by the state of Texas and the Unitarian Universalist Association, I now pronounce you partners in marriage. You may now kiss.
But suddenly, there's an explosion and the sanctuary is filled with a green toxic gas.
What's happening?
I can barely breathe. Oh no. Grandmother. No. Our wedding is ruined.
How did the explosion occur, and who is to blame for this outrage? Tune into later episodes to find out. It is the morning following the disastrous end to the wedding of James and Penny. There was no reception and no honeymoon for the hapless couple. Instead,
I can't believe this. Not only was our wedding disrupted, but grandmother is dead. Why? Hack hack hack.
I am so sorry.
We both are. But thankfully most of the rest of us weren't badly hurt. Aside from your grandmother, you, James and the minister were the ones who got the worst of it. The bomb that released the poisoned gas was planted near where you three were standing.
So the bomb was planted right behind the podium where Reverend Denton normally gives her sermons. The bomb released enough toxic gas, mostly chlorine, to kill at least a dozen people. It's a miracle only one died, but the bride, groom and the minister all suffered severe lung damage.
Now that all the gas has been blown out, we can take the fragments of the bomb to the police station for analysis. I'm afraid your lung damage means you will have to cut back on your activities for a while until you heal up.
Hack hack hack. Someone must have broken into the church and planted the device to poison us. This reminds me of when our church was burned down. But no one died in that attack. So this is actually worse.
I know. And I'm the one who had to pronounce Mrs. Bentley dead.
Police chief, do you want me to help with the investigation? I've just been released from the hospital and am eager to track down who did that attack.
No, it's okay, officers Kelly, Andrea, and I have got this. You just take it easy for now. I'm sure your wife and son need you more than we do.
I don't know what to say.
Then just hold me.
This was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, and instead it is one of my worst. I just don't understand this, Mother. Hack hack hack.
As soon as you are released, I will take you home and take care of you.
Not without Penny. She and I did exchange our wedding vows, so she belongs with me now. Hack hack hack.
The investigation and the prime suspect.
Thanks for taking care of Richard for me. I'm so glad he wasn't at the wedding 2 days ago. Who knows how badly he might have been hurt by the gas attack. I'm just sorry you had to keep him so long. It's okay, I know it couldn't be helped.
Mama, you okay?
I am now, Richard. Let's go see your mother Carrie and grandmother Sandy.
It's obvious to me who must have done that attack, Ted Wilson. He's been a threat to Penny first, then Carrie, and finally me, and all three of us were at the church for the wedding, so that would have been a perfect chance for him to get revenge on us. Especially after my mother published on YouTube a video detailing how Ted threatened me and Penny when he was a cop. I want him arrested again. Hack hack hack.
If he did it, then he must have found a way to break into the church and plant the bomb. We will inform the FBI.
Go get him. The sooner he gets locked up again, the better. Hack hack hack. He killed my grandmother.
The autopsy of Susan Bentley has been completed. Though she did suffer from minor lung damage, what really killed her was an underlying heart condition she'd been suffering from for years. She likely would have died in another few months. The gas attack just was the straw that broke her back, so to speak. And now there is already talk that my own nephew may have done this. I never thought he could be an outright terrorist or murderer. Then again, I never thought he could be a sex offender, and yet he was one. I'm sure because his father was such a pillar of this community. Ted Wilson grew up with respect he really didn't deserve, and that made him feel entitled. Bad people do bad things, and it doesn't matter what their social status is. I learned that the hard way after Reverend Dave Owen had my church burned down because it was no longer Baptist. Later, Police Chief Root talks with an FBI agent. We have gathered up all the evidence we could get about the crime and are prepared to turn it over to you. Good. I will come over to pick it up tomorrow. So, you say this Ted Wilson most likely did it? Do you know where he is now? He and his father moved from our town to Dallas several months ago. Or rather, a suburb of Dallas, Plano. We will definitely be watching for him.
We have a problem. Andrea and I just finished analyzing the bomb fragments. There is no sign of fingerprints on them. Whoever made that bomb was most likely wearing gloves. Ted Wilson was not wearing gloves when he wrote those hateful letters that got him jailed the last time.
He could have learned from that mistake and known to wear gloves this time.
The fact remains. He may be the prime suspect, but we really have no evidence against him. Even the FBI can't arrest him again just on suspicion.
You are right. However hated he may be, even Ted Wilson can't just be locked up because we want to get rid of him. Justice must apply to even him, or the concept is meaningless.
Police Chief Root, I have some bad news.
Let's hear it.
We examined all the evidence you submitted to us and we couldn't get any more information from it than you did. Which is normally a good thing, since that means your police force is a solid investigative team. However, like you, I concluded that the evidence does not point to the suspect Ted Wilson. We did bring in Mr. Wilson for questioning, but he and his father were able to provide a solid alibi. Ted was in the Dallas area all that weekend, and there is no indication that he ever left it, let alone went all the way to your town. I'm sorry.
I do appreciate your efforts. Have a nice day.
So that's it? We are just going to let Ted Wilson walk?
We have no choice, Carrie. No evidence pointing to him and no reason to assume he was in this town at all.
There was no sign of forced entry. Whoever entered the church before the wedding might have had a key that could open the front door. One of the doors was left unlocked by mistake. But all the church doors were locked before the church was opened for the wedding that morning. So the perp probably used the key to open the church so he could plant the bomb, then lock the door he entered through once he was done. You think it could have been an inside job? A member of the church was responsible? Someone that knew how to get into the church without forcing his way in.
You think it was a church member? Why? Hack. Who besides you and a staff member would have a key to open the church? There is one possibility. He was the president of the church that replaced Dr. Drake after Drake resigned. Charles Wolcott. At the last meeting of the church board of directors, he started an argument.
Ever since this church left the Southern Baptist Convention and became Unitarian Universalist instead, increasing numbers of our young members are rejecting Christianity, and some have left this church completely, because there is no reason for them to stay once they graduate from high school. Now, we were told years ago that we could keep our Christian beliefs, yet we still allow atheists in here, and they are taking over this church, just like they have taken over this town. You atheists have made our status as a religious group meaningless. Instead of teaching about the gospel, we are promoting woke values associated with Marxism, expecting white people to feel ashamed of their color and heritage while celebrating multiculturalism.
Excuse me, but it was never our intention to take over your church. That was Dr. Drake and Carla Jenkins who spearheaded that move. And why are you bringing this up now? This church is not dying out, it is merely changing. I'm sure a lot of the young people that have left recently will return once they start having children. Just as I and my wife Lucy have stayed for the sake of our daughter Vicky. And as a white person myself, I do not feel ashamed of my color or my cultural background at all. Only of what was done by white people in the past against people of color, and I do not wish to see those wrongs repeated in the future.
Charles, I clearly remember you voted against the church changing its religious affiliation, but you did not leave after you were outvoted, so I thought you had changed your mind later. But it is clear now that you were merely waiting for the chance to become president of this church so you could push for us to go back to the Southern Baptists. I oppose this. As a senior board member, I make a motion that we remove Mr. Wolcott as president and then elect a new one.
As the church secretary, I second that motion.
All in favor, raise your hand now. So as a result, Mr. Wolcott was removed from the church board by a 2/3 majority vote of the board members. He was supposed to turn in the key to the church doors afterwards, but he hasn't done that yet.
But why would he target the wedding of James and Penny? They had nothing to do with his dispute with Mother Jessica and Miss Jenkins.
Hack hack hack. Perhaps because he knew about James and Penny being enemies of Ted Wilson, and thus Ted would be the prime suspect in the attack. But his real target would have been me, as the minister. He wanted to fire me for not being Christian enough, but that motion of his was rejected weeks before the later confrontation in which he was expelled outright from the board.
After hearing all that, Carrie went and got a search warrant for the home of Charles Wolcott. Then the police officers of the town went to his home and searched it. And as a result, Wolcott was arrested. We found a virtual chemistry lab in your garage, including exactly the sort of materials that would have been used to make that bomb that poisoned the church sanctuary. Plastics, metal, electronics, and even a canister of chlorine gas. So what do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Wolcott?
Nothing! I want to speak to a lawyer.
Fine. But you will still be charged with breaking and entering, sabotage, inflicting grievous bodily harm of at least 3 people, and the murder of Susan Bentley.
Damn it, that old woman wasn't my target. The bomb was planted behind the pulpit because I expected it to kill the minister. Oh my big mouth.
The end. At least of that tragic event.